I don't owe anyone anything. I don't owe anybody an explanation to why I am how I am. I don't feel the need that I owe anything to anyone. I don't at all. And I don't really care if this comes across as selfish. I've gone through too much shit, and I've gone through too much to give a fuck anymore about anyone. And I feel emotionally depleted. I feel very drained, and I feel like I don't. I feel like I'm just at a point where why should I care anymore if no one really cares about me? If I don't feel like I'm being treated as equal, why should I treat everybody else as equal? Why should I acknowledge them? You know, every day I feel this burden having to wake up and face everyone and really be about in society and just really be around anyone. I really hate to be around people. I don't like it one bit. It really feels like me against everybody else, really. It feels like me against everybody. And this is why I'm so defensive. It's why I'm so uptight, I'm so reactive, and I've got a very defensive personality. You know, I feel as though at all times I've got to defend myself and just be unavailable and really just be really cold, and like I don't want to be attached or connected to anybody anymore. I don't want to put my heart on my sleeve. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be available for anyone. I very much value my time. I very much value the things I do, my health. I haven't drank for nearly almost a year now, and I'm not going to break that cycle. I'm not going to break that cycle, and there's, the way I see my life right now, I see it in a very selfish, self-orientated way. I see it in a very, it's all for me, you know. I see everything for me, you know, I'm for me, my energy is for me. Working out is for me. Everything I do for self-improvement is for me, and me only, to enjoy this. And I don't have to be around anybody. I don't have to let anybody in. I don't have to invite people into my life, and I choose to keep the door locked. I choose to keep the door locked, and I don't want to be just inviting any fucking random stranger into my life. And you know, just as just like a house, and you usually, when you're in the house alone, you keep the door locked, or you put the chain on. You have a gate. You have a gate before people get to your door. You have all these safety measures, all these security measures, and it's there for a reason. You don't just have a lock on your door for no reason. You don't just have a fence between you and your neighbour for no reason. Everything has a reason. And some people's walls are just meant to be very, very high. They're meant to be very far up, and I don't believe that we're all the same. I don't believe that we all can just get along and integrate and mix with other people easily. I think some people, it takes a bit more time to warm up to other people, and and I've realised that the longer I live on this earth, the more I exist, the more I just feel like I'm just a background character. The more I feel like what I actually want and my needs, and what I feel like I need in before I get into work or whatever. It's not really important to other people. Like I just feel very left behind, and I feel very unworthy to other people. I feel as though as the older I get, the less people give a shit. And it's like you either move it or lose it, I guess. And it's like the way you are, most people really only do things for their satisfaction and for their convenience, and I guess to a lot of people I'm just a fucking pawn in their story. I'm just a character. I'm not really seen as an individual, and I hate that about people. I hate that most of the time your friendship is only there as long as you're, like, they're only going to be there for you as long as you keep providing in something that you have. I believe that a friendship or anything like a friendship, acquaintances or whatever, relationships in general, are only there to really, a lot of people are using you for their selfish needs. You're just a pawn in their fucking chess game, and they'll fucking use you however they want to use you. And I've come to realise that is how it usually is. You're just a pawn in other people's lives. You're just an item to them. And that's why I don't really want to speak to many people anymore. I don't want to really associate myself with anyone. I really prefer to keep my distance and be alone, and just to be this, I don't even know how to describe myself. I guess like a lone wolf, I'd say. But there's no problem with being a lone wolf. There's nothing wrong with realising that human nature and most people are just selfish. And I really just don't want to really give a shit anymore. I don't really want to be emotionally available. I don't want to be available all the time anymore. I kind of just want to be selfish right now. I just want to do my own thing and just, kind of just detach and keep my distance from people. Just be less involved in society. I don't really value, like, there's a lot of things that I think we value more than others, and what we consider valuable. You could say, well, the watch you're wearing is valuable, money is valuable, but for me, I just value peace and quiet and to be really left alone. Like, if I could live somewhere, or if I had somewhere I could just escape to, no one was there, literally nobody, that would mean anything more than what money can buy. But unfortunately, you need money to buy peace. You need money to buy a kind of life that you want, because otherwise you're just going to be in the same society, world, place as everybody else, having to get over your anxiety and really forcing yourself to fucking be around everybody when you don't want to. I don't like I don't like being out in public anymore. I don't like being around crowds. I don't really like this unnecessary interaction when you're, for example, when you walk down the street and you notice people, you notice someone walking the opposite direction, and you have those, you have that few seconds of awkward eye contact and acknowledgement, and you feel like you both have to say something to make it less awkward. But usually, when you are a type of cold heartless, well, what people consider heartless anyway, when you are a cold person, when you've gone through shit and you don't want to go back to certain traits, and you don't want to see anybody anymore, you don't want to see certain people, and when life events, experiences have shaped you, you can't help but, sometimes when you're around certain people and you start trusting again, you're starting to just kind of be more inviting again when you feel ready. It's not easy, because you still have some kind of PTSD where you feel like, well, I can't let this guy too close, I can't let anybody too close to me, I've got to keep my distance. I don't really typically like most males, I don't like most men. I feel like I've got to stand off and stand my ground and be ready to fight every time when certain guys are around me. Every time I feel like I've got to fucking back myself, because no one's gonna back me unless if I back me. No one. So I typically keep my distance. I try my best to ignore a bunch of folks outside loitering around a shop or on a train or whatever. But it's not easy, and sometimes your friends will want to go somewhere you don't want to go, and it makes it awkward. Your friends want to go to a certain bar in town, or to a certain place, like maybe a snooker bar or some kind of fucking cafe or whatever, some kind of event, and you don't want to go because you know you're gonna have to be around the fucking same divs, the same knobheads that you're trying to get away from and have some kind of you time, and you can't always plan out the day. You can't always kind of expect that you're not going to bump into certain knobheads and scumbags. And this is why I feel like I want to distance myself even from certain friends or so-called friends or whatever, like, because if you don't listen all the time, they have ideas what they want to do, and it conflicts to what you want to do and how you want to, like, sometimes you just both end up having this conflict of where you want to go and what you want to do. Like, personally, I don't want to be around lots of people. I don't want to be around anyone and everyone, and I don't feel like I'm going to change anytime soon, because certain people just, I don't know why I'm going to be around him, and I feel like I've just got to stand my ground, and I've got to be ready for anything that kicks off, like a good 95% of the time when I'm around anyone, and it's big crowds and a bunch of scummy looking individuals, typically dressed up in roadman attire and speak in a certain way. Like, I don't know, it disappoints me, but at the same time, like, I'm tired of having to do this. So I don't remember signing my name up having to be a certain way, and I owe anyone anything. I owe nothing. I absolutely don't owe anyone anything, and I don't owe them an explanation. I don't owe them my energy, my time, like nothing. And personally, I think the less that I give, and the more secretive I am, and the more exclusive, the better for me. And why should I have to give up that? Why should I have to dilute myself and be someone who I don't want to be, just for the sake of being liked or being more approachable? And I don't see the point. I really just want to be left alone. And there's nothing on this world that would change my mind and opinion on this, and it really is time for me to work my socks off to really get somewhere in life, and it's time. It's time for me to take action and do something, because this is the only way. I hate it. I hate where I live. I absolutely hate it where I live. I don't like the people who live here. I don't feel like I fit in one bit. Like right now it's quiet, like there's no one around. But just in general, I'm just so tired of society. I'm so tired of feeling like I've got to be one up against everyone and never let my guard down and feel like I've got to be so aware all the time and vigilant. Because it's just me. It's me against everybody else. I've got nobody. And I don't know what to do. And the only thing I can think about, the only solution I can think of, is to just really save up and, character building and, I don't know, just ways of calming my mind down and focusing on something else that doesn't make me want to be, it doesn't make me want to flip out. Like, I feel like I need to be distracted 24/7 from actual reality and how people are. I just find ways to meditate and calm myself down, and just really just focus on something, because I hate the people who live here, and I really just want to move away. I want to move out from this town I live in. It's an absolute shithole. But the whole of UK just feels like one giant shithole. The only difference is that you go from one area that might be less of a shithole to another one that is, it could be worse or it could be better. You're taking gambles. Nothing is guaranteed in life. Nothing is guaranteed, and you might be travelling, you might be moving to Leeds, you might be moving to fucking Newcastle or whatever, hoping that things gonna be better this time around. But it's like sometimes you've just got to sometimes you've got to learn to live with less. Like, nowhere is perfect, and while you might be escaping one problem and you might have fixed one issue, you might have, the place you're now living in might be somewhat better, but you're still going to be faced with some issues. You're still going to, it really is never, life is never how you expect it to be. People are not how you expect them to be. If they let you down, you're going to be disappointed once in a while, and I just feel like this is life. Like, you've got to expect the unexpected. You've got to be aware at all times, and you've got to realise that humanity overall and how most people are, they're just ugly. And you just can't have expectations on other people, because not everyone's going to be how you are. But, and unfortunately, you can't fix people. Not everyone is going to be as respectful as you. One of the most valuable things in the world is just to be fucking left alone. It's peace and quiet cannot be bought, and it's so important to find places to just really have some peace and quiet. Look after your health, look after your mental health, look after your physical health. I don't try to pretend to be someone I'm not. My intentions are clear. My thoughts and feelings about other people are clear. And there might be some people who might disagree with how I am and my views in society, but I've just had enough. I've just simply had enough of people. And I'm just so ready to be left alone.